for this introduction to anthropology course, and during the semester we'll be covering basically all of the world for all of the time of human beings on the earth. Of course, there's a big debate over what the time range of human beings is, but we'll basically say that it's the last 6 million years. 6 million years seems to be the time that our near ancestors started to walk upright, and we're basically interested in how humans adapt to all of the continents in the world by the means of culture. And so we'll, take that approach. Our first week will be focused on the theoretical context in which anthropologists work. And in American anthropology, the person who established the anthropological discipline was a man named Franz Boas, who basically worked in the last part of the 1900s and the early part of the last part of the 1800s and some into the 1900s. And he structured the discipline by making it a combination of 4 different then existing disciplines: archaeology, physical anthropology, ethnology, and linguistics. The person that probably contributed more to the early theory of anthropology than anybody was a man named Clark Whistler, who was trained as a psychologist at Columbia University. And so a lot of the early methodology, including statistics and those sorts of things, were derived from a psychological background. And in fact, some of the early anthropologists were like Margaret Mead, for instance, that you probably heard of, were very much focused on psychology and how psychology varies in other parts of the world and in other cultures. Well, as you'll see in your textbook, the idea of culture that is kind of the basic organizational piece for anthropology is the idea that for one thing, culture is the shared learned ideas of peoples in various regions of the world, and just as important is an idea that does come from Boas, which is that which we refer to as cultural relativity. And cultural relativity posits that the human playing field is basically level. That is to say that all cultures are adapted to the conditions, both physical and social, that they reside in, and so you can't really look down on any one culture from another culture and say it's better than others. They're all, in some sense, equally good in the sense that they're adapting to their local physical and social conditions, and that is a very important perspective to keep in mind. So we have these two basic perspectives to work from. Speaking of a level playing field, there's another question that's important here, and that is, how long has the playing field been level? And last few decades have brought a lot of light on this. That is, how long have humans been, as they are now, able to cope with adaptation at the level that they are. And the current evidence seems to suggest that playing field has been basically level for about 100,000 years, perhaps as much as 200,000 years. That's not to say that our immediate predecessors didn't have a lot of gifts in terms of technology, understanding, able to adapt to conditions. The Homo erectus species that came before us was amazing in that it managed to survive and make virtually the same tools for about well over 1 million years. So they too should not be looked down in kind of a cultural relative sense, but the fact is that anatomically modern humans, which is us, have a whole range of things that of cultural traits that we can't really attribute to the earlier groups, and that is the production of sophisticated artistic objects, symbolic thinking, such as you encounter in jewelry and body decoration and those sorts of things. And so we've been around a while, let's say in terms of civilization. Civilization's kind of been in the works for 5,000 years, and but humans as we know them have been around for 100,000 years or more. And when you look back at the Pleistocene, the Ice Age cultures, you should be thinking about how there were people like us. The population densities were lower, but they were extremely sophisticated, and we can tell this from looking at cave paintings from 30 or 40,000 years ago, looking at sculpture 30 or 40,000 years ago, and a number of other things, especially their tools, though. Their tools are the longest relationship that we have with our past is through the element silica, and you're all familiar with the silica that goes into the chips that run our computers and everything. But in fact, the human relationship with silica goes back probably 2.3 million years or something like that to the invention of stone tools, and for all of the last 2.5 million years, we as a species or as a genus have made use of silica as an important component of our technological adaptation. For each of the weeks of the semester, I've prepared an overview and a study guide, and you should really read those things first and sort of get the idea of the ballpark that I want to play in for the week, and then read the chapters. In most cases, there will be more than one chapter assigned for the week, but the focus will only be on one chapter out of that group, and the study guide will come out of that chapter. And you should understand that the study guide is very important. It's key to your passing the doing well on the weekly quiz. That's due by 11 p.m. on Wednesday of each week, and there will be a question related to the study guide in the weekly questions, and you can focus your discussions around those questions. And then toward the end of the week, I'll assign you 2 clans, and your clans will discuss the problem of the week. Really what we're interested in here is learning how to deal with how to resolve problems. That's what we're in a university environment for, and that's why we study anthropology and right down to your own life and living. You need to have to focus on the idea that you need to be able to solve problems, new, novel, and problems that you encounter, and so that will be the focus of the course ultimately. So have a good week. Read the overview, understand the study guide, and take your quiz. Read your chapters first, and then take your quiz, and then enjoy your discussions with your clan mates, and send me a report late in the week from each of the clans so that I can enjoy the outcome of your discussions as well.